What's up, guys? Philip at Trade Genius. All right, weekly outlook on Bitcoin. We're going to take a look at where we're at, where our potential risk levels are. We'll also take a look at the crypto fear and greed indicator and see what has fired off with that. All right, so let's dive into this video.
Trade Genius.
All right, guys, really quickly, quick plug. We're using a special promo code SPECIAL1, 60% off non-bundled items. So if you're in the room and you want to renew, or if you're looking to join the room, this is non-bundled. So you go up to like the signal service, you can go to like cryptocurrencies, scroll down, and this will get you the cryptocurrencies and the binary option signals. But $4.99 a year, that would be 60% off. All right, and really just a ton of stuff going on in the room every day. For example, today we took on the Nadex, we took a binary trade. Actually, it wasn't a binary trade. We do these things called touches, and they're spreads. But this is over $100 move, and we took this signal here, and we walk you through it on. And this is on the S&P 500, which trades as the US 500 on Nadex. So there's a lot of opportunities to make money, not only in crypto, but with Nadex and also the stock and ETF side too that we do. So anyway, I hope I see you guys in the room. Just thought I would show you guys a little bit of what we're doing in there. All right, let's take a look at Bitcoin. So let's start off with the weekly, guys. Weekly, we have this wedge kind of in play. Now remember, we said this is the 200 period moving average on the weekly. So it's the weekly 200 period moving average. And we said that don't count out a retest of this level, and that's kind of what we're getting here. So for this level to hold, what I'm looking for currently is basically a close above last week's high. So this week or the following week, I'm looking for a weekly close over this level, which currently is 35.35. So if we get a move over 35.35, heads up, because I think what we're going to see is probably a move up to this 3,800 level and then to 4K. So that's on the weekly. Again, bigger picture, we are looking at this move here of where we're in this range. This was a big fight range, okay? And we said back when we got into this, we said we're probably going to be stuck in here for a while. No one is expecting this to be the bottom, this 3,100 low, 3128.89. No one's really expecting that bottom to hold. So it's one of my scenarios of it being the bottom because of that, because the herd is just so against it. The other one is we could have a peekaboo low. Otherwise, if we close out, then we're going to tag these 2,300 to 2,500. So scenario one is this low holds. Scenario two is a peekaboo low, and then we move higher. Scenario three, we come down to 23 to 2,500 at that point. Keep in mind, though, we do have as we closer we get to the halvening, okay, price tends to consolidate, tends to not move in much of a range, and the key is starting to see higher highs and higher lows on your daily and weekly time frames. That's going to tip it off. Okay, so this is the basically the pennant formation that we're in now. Usually when you get a pennant after a move down, price is going to want a tendency to break lower. It doesn't happen all the time, but tendency is to break lower if we break this trend line. So any move below the 200-day moving average, so if you guys are concerned about price, okay, the 200-day moving average, if we break below 3,300 and we close below that on a daily time frame, then that's probably going to see more downside. At least that opens up the door for I would say a 3,000 test. Okay, I know that's not a lot lower, but that's going to be a key if we can. But what happens there will be very telling. So if we get that price action, we'll do another update to kind of discuss what options are at that point. All right, so that's weekly. Now let's look at the daily time frame. And what's bullish about this, and really kind of framing things for the bulls, is that we have a descending wedge. And these typically I like, right? Because when you move down and you start breaking out of them, usually you're going to see a sharp break. These levels are kind of the levels that I see in play. So if this level doesn't hold, which it has been, we drew this way back here, then basically taking out this high of this daily bar of 34.83, taking that out, I think is going to bode really well. That breaks us out of the wedge. And then from that point, your wedge measured move would be, we can take a look at that. So we're going to go, basically the measured move on the wedge is you measure the start of the wedge, and then where you break out from. So potentially that could take us up to the 3,800 level, all right? And then if that is able to pull back and break higher, then I think ultimately we retest this 4,000, and then I think we're probably going to see quite a bit of selling if we do get up there. The only thing that would negate that is a daily close above these previous highs, where the highest was 41.14. So that's kind of the bullish scenario we're looking at on the daily. Again, if we rolled over here, keep in mind, and we're going to meet the bottom of this trend line at 3270. So just because we go back down there, if we do get a move down there and that trend line holds, that's going to be a pretty sweet spot risk reward wise to go long. All right, so that's what I'm going to look at right now just on Bitcoin. We're just going to go to the daily 4 hour. There's, it's pretty choppy in there, so we're not really going to discuss that. I think this has the bigger picture moves that we're looking at. Ultimately on the I'll even go back to the weekly real quick. As far as moving averages go, basically the moving average rule is that we usually come back and we touch the moving average. So, for example, here, this is the quicker moving average that we use. And so, that's sitting around 4,000. Usually when you fall away from it, as we have, you're usually going to meet up with it. So it may come down a bit more and price comes up to meet it. So it may not meet it until maybe say 3,800, but they should meet up. And I would say probably within the next week or so that those two guys meet up. All right. So that's kind of what I'm leaning on right now as far as price action to the upside. But again, contingent on getting a close above the previous week high of 35.35. So keep that in mind. All right, what does the crypto fear and greed tell us? We actually had what we qualify as a buy signal happen on the 31st. So if we go back to the 31st, go back to the daily chart, how did that play out? The reason why we're looking at this is because we kind of want to see what or how it's reacting. If we get decent reactions, then volatility is decent. If we don't get good reactions, then volatility is kind of dead. And when volatility dies, you're typically going to see what I would consider a pretty sharp move in one direction or the other. Hard to say, with certainty at this point with Bitcoin, what that is. I mean, obviously because it's a bear market, you're going to say probabilities are going to be on the higher side of it going down. But again, you have potential breaks technically here to the upside. So for me, it's not necessarily at this juncture weighted to the downside just because of where we are and potentially the technical breaks that could create a short squeeze to the upside. Now, if we look back on the 31st where we had that signal, that's this bar here. So that was a low of 34.06. So that actually moved up a little bit. 34.75, just not a lot of movement though, right? So volatility is quiet, and when volatility gets quiet, we typically see a big move. Here was an area where volatility got pretty quiet, came up, tagged the upper part of the wedge, and then broke down, created this other trend line touch on the bottom part of the wedge. So yes, we are here. Yes, we could break down. Just be aware that when we do get a move out of this, it's probably going to be pretty fast. So it's just going to be a matter of, can we get all the way back down here? If we do, we'd be looking for a sharp move back up, similar to what happened on this bar here. It moved all the way down to this 33.35 and then closed back up higher. And then we got a little bit of a hammer there, hammer candle, which are bullish, and then it drifted back up. So what I'm keying in on, guys, too, though, is if we get a move down in this wedge, comes down halfway, look for halfway reversals on these wedges. That's usually a tell that we could break higher and up and out. Okay, works the same way too on the other side. If you hit the bottom of the wedge, comes up midway, stops and does another U-turn and heads back down, that's very bearish. So just keep in mind those mid wedge returns can sometimes be a tell as to what the upcoming larger move is going to be. All right, so that's pretty much it for the Bitcoin outlook. We'll take a look at the altcoin market later in the week, but largely this is going to be dictating most of the crypto market as it has been for the last few months. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Again, head over to tradelikeagenius.com if you're interested in joining us, and I will see you on the next video. Appreciate it, guys. Please hit like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Trade Genius.